This is an example of a bullfighting image that Picasso made using the lino cut technique from later in his career. It's called Pike 2, and it's much more abstract, but hopefully you can make out the figure of the bullfighter also on a horse, the horse kind of rearing up. So it's a moment of great drama as the bullfighter again points his pike towards the raging bull in the lower right. And I think this is actually one of Picasso's most successful lino cuts because he's able to, through these kind of curved images and the contrast between the sort of dark brown and the black and the lighter brown colors, he's able to create this great sense of movement and drama and tension in this image. And again, just returning to this theme that had interested him. I mean, bullfighting, it's actually kind of worth pointing out that bullfighting was the theme of his very, very first painting. So the first painting he ever made was a reference to bullfighting. And actually, the first print that he made, I talked at the beginning about his first professional print, The Frugal Meal, but he did actually try to make an etching before that. He made one etching when he was 17, and again, that was an image of a bullfighter. So it's almost like the bullfighter is his kind of default subject when he wants to make an image. I wanted to show you this beautiful little drawing that we have in the British Museum collection. And it was made when Picasso visited Britain in 1950. He actually only came to Britain twice in his life. He didn't really like to travel, so he really didn't travel very often. But we know he came to Britain first in around 1919. When he was working with a ballet company, and he spent I think around 6 weeks in London at that time, and we think that he actually visited the British Museum at that point. But then he came again. He made his second visit to Britain in 1950, and on that occasion, he was coming to attend a Peace conference in the north of England, in Yorkshire. But while he was over here, he stayed with two artists, a married couple called Roland Penrose and Lee Miller, surrealist artists who lived in the south of England, and he went to stay with them at their farmhouse in a county called Sussex in the south of England. And they had, various animals in their fields, including apparently some red bulls. And they asked Picasso to make a drawing in this book. It's a book that was used for the Institute of Contemporary Art in London, because Roland Penrose was one of the founders of the Institute of Contemporary Arts, and he created this book where he asked lots of different artists to contribute a drawing. And we now have this in the British Museum collection. It has about 50 drawings by different artists who came to Britain during that period. And the very first drawing is this one. It's Picasso's drawing of these leaping bulls. So these bulls with wings kind of flying over the sun, probably inspired by the red bulls in the fields around Roland Penrose's home in Sussex. So again, just showing that when he's asked to create an image, he thinks of the bull. This is an etching from the Vollard suite. So going back to the 1930s, made in 1934. And again, it's a sort of dramatic scene of this kind of battle between a bullfighter on a horse and the bull. But in this case, the bullfighter is a woman, and it's a woman that resembles Marie-Thérèse, his young lover at the time. And she's lying, looking injured, perhaps even dead, on the back of this horse. And the bull is kind of fighting beneath. So it's this kind of very dramatic moment where they've clashed, and there's been this this sort of injury or death. And it's one of the most dramatic prints in the Vollard suite. I wanted to show also that I've already mentioned that Picasso was very influenced by Goya, the Spanish artist, but in his printmaking, he was also very inspired by the Dutch 17th century Dutch artist Rembrandt. And Rembrandt himself, as well as being a painter, was a great printmaker. And Picasso looked back at Rembrandt's prints,